Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
It's a packed Monday on the Sports Blitz. We've got high school football results as well as playoff seedings. We'll take a look at the brackets. Also got a huge weekend in college football to recap. Alabama, LSU, Arkansas gets a big win. Also NFL and plenty more today on the Sports Blitz.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Welcome to the Sports Blitz today. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton in studio here at the River Valley Leader. Glad to have you along today as we're here for an hour. I know it's all we got, but we got an hour to talk about all things sports. And Weldon, as is our normal custom on Mondays, we just have to jam it in because we don't have enough time to fit all this in 1 hour.
Well, you look, we got so much to react to. Got to start with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Got a 19-15 win over Tulsa Saturday. And then, of course, the high school games. So got a lot of area teams making the playoffs. We're going to break down who they'll be playing and what the bracket looks like.
Yeah, it's a busy week. We've got several teams. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the area that are hosting in the first round of the state playoffs in football. So we'll look at that here in just a moment. But the Razorbacks got a win. It was a scary, shaky win, if you will, but there's no such thing as a bad win. So the Hogs beat Tulsa on homecoming, avoid that massive, I don't know what you would call it, just a disappointment.
Yeah.
Losing to Tulsa, it would be very disappointing to lose to Tulsa. So the fact, and especially on homecoming, all that. So it's a good thing that the Hogs were able to get a win, and Weldon, we're able to come in here today and not have to talk about another disappointing loss.
It does feel good, Mark, and you got to give this Arkansas defensive line credit. I thought they were the key to holding down a Tulsa running game that was among the best in the country. And, of course, Tyler Wilson, we look at the numbers, threw for a lot of yards. They didn't put a lot of points on the board, but you got to look. We've got some injuries now. Kobe Hamilton's basically the only guy he can trust. Chris Gregg is out. We know about the young receivers and some of the veteran receivers who have not earned that trust over the years. So with Tyler Wilson, you look at him. I know the offense hasn't been clicking, but consider all the injuries and give this defense some credit.
We'll have to look at the game in a little greater depth here in just a little bit. Also, the fact that the LSU-Alabama game turned into a classic. I mean, it really did turn into a great game in the end. We'll break that down. And then there's something else that I want to hit. It's
NASCAR, okay.
Yeah, of course. Jimmy Johnson, he's great. No, it's about the college football realm and looking at the 2, 3, and 4 teams in the country, and I'm not real stoked about where they are. And I'll pose a question today that Weldon and I definitely disagree on, which we love to do. So we'll hit that here in just a little bit. But let's start with the Rack Furniture Warehouse local sports segment. We'll be at the River Valley Leader featured game of the week Friday night. The Russellville Cyclones hosting in the state playoffs. 6A state playoffs. They did fall Friday night to Greenwood. That's to be expected when you're playing the best team probably in all classifications in the state. Yeah. At worst, the third best team in the entire state, regardless of classification. But Russellville will be hosting Benton at home. When's the last time Russellville had a home playoff game in football?
It's been a few years. I know probably around 2008 they hosted, maybe even 2009. I know 2008 they hosted. So it's been a few years.
3 to 4 years at least.
We know, especially given the last couple of years, we didn't even think about hosting or even being in the playoffs.
No, it was just like who was it? Jim Mora. We're just trying to win a game. Playoffs?
Yeah, playoffs.
We're just trying to win a game.
Yeah.
The Cyclones, we look to have that game covered Friday night. Matt Ketchum will be on the scene as the Cyclones take on Benton. Hope to get a win in the first round. Let's look at the bracket real quickly. If the Cyclones were able to get a win in the first round over Benton in the second round, they would likely play the 1 seed Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
Be traveling to Pine Bluff, but Weldon, you said that they've got a shot.
I said that, and I shouldn't have. I mean, I looked at Pine Bluff, and I just got through talking to somebody about them. They are solid. In fact, Pine Bluff, they are the team that's favored to match up with Greenwood. And if anybody can derail Greenwood in the title game, it is Pine Bluff. It'll be tough for Russellville, no doubt, but looking at this Benton game, I expect Russellville to take care of business there. Benton has struggled this year, but the Cyclones, they got to worry about themselves first of all. I got to talk to a few players, told me a little bit about what's going on. This team has to make sure they're solid. They have to make sure they're unified on offense and defense. Anytime you face a team like Greenwood and they're mercy ruling you in the first half and all that, tempers start to flare, people start to get upset. I think it's time for Russellville to calm down, take a step back, get back to doing what they do, spreading people out, balanced running game we talked about earlier in the year, physical defense, which is what they've shown at points this year, and go ahead and march through these playoffs.
I know that this isn't the way that the Russellville players and coaches will think, but it's sort of a reward for the fans who've stuck through some pretty tough times the last couple of years that you get to host a playoff game. And if you're a player, me looking back 10 years into high school, I don't think I would have thought this way, but now I would think of this game as a reward to my fans. You guys have been there for us, and you showed up and packed the stands when we were terrible. And here we are with the chance to host a playoff game. We're going to leave it out there. We're going to leave everything we've got on the field. And I expect Russellville to do that on Friday night. I hope that they can get things together. And I know it's been a tough couple weeks there, but hopefully they can get it together.
It has. And again, Greenwood, they're in another league. They're in 6A, but as far as how they're playing, they're in another league. The week before, you played a 7A team in Southside. Earlier in the year, you lost to a 7A team in Conway, which will be competitive up in that 7A bracket. And so Russellville, you can still feel good about it. And let's not forget Coach Holt. He's an X factor in this. Over his career, he has had some magical playoff runs. You go back to 2002 when they went all the way to the state semifinals, fingertip catch away from going to the state championship game. Had a really good team in a few other years there as well. I remember my sophomore year going on the road, beating a heavily favored Cabot team by 3 touchdowns. So, don't sleep on Coach Holt as an X factor in the playoffs.
Can't wait. We'll be there on the scene as Russellville takes on Benton. Moving down the playoff bracket here, let me find who I'm looking for. We've got the Pottsville Apaches, who won 48-6 Friday night over Waldron. They're going to take on Gravett in the first round. If they win that game, which they expect to, having home field advantage there, they will travel to Prairie Grove to take on the 1 seed from the 1-4A, so that's going to be a big test there for Pottsville. But it looks, Weldon, like they've got a decent little draw. Obviously, they're playing the 1 seed in Prairie Grove, but Pottsville, up until a couple weeks ago, was looking at a 1 seed themselves. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough test there in the second round. If they get past that, probably taking on Nashville.
Yeah, Mark, and the first thing, when you look at this 4A playoff bracket, and you pointed out earlier, it's huge. There are a lot of teams that are going to be vying for this 4A state title. Certainly for Pottsville, Prairie Grove will be the key game. That's the game where you like Pottsville's chances to get out of it, but it'll be tough. And, of course, Nashville's looming there in the following round. So, again, Pottsville, though, they're a team. They've got a lot of experience coming back. Of course, Michael Perry at quarterback, but they've got several other good players. They were in this position last year. They have some playoff experience under their belt, and they were looking good until they ran into Pulaski University, I know, as you like to eloquently put it. So I want to see if this experience counts for something and they can really make a run in this 4A playoffs.
The Dardanelle Sand Lizards were 45-34 winners over Mena on Friday night. It earned them the 3 seed from the 4A4, and they take on Pocahontas. They're also going to be at home on Friday night. So we've got 4 games at home, 1 more that we haven't mentioned yet. So that's 3 so far. Dardanelle taking on Pocahontas at home. If they win that game, they'll get the 2 seed, or the winner from the 2-4A Stuttgart, who is among the top teams in the 4A all season long, who got a bye. So Dardanelle's trying to get things rolling, get things started off the right way at home. Keenan Field there against Pocahontas. We look forward to seeing the results from that one. We'll try to get some photos from that game. It's going to be a huge one for the Sand Lizards. Also, the Morrilton Devil Dogs, 49-12 winners over Clarksville on Friday night. They host Jacksonville on Friday night, so that's a big one. The fighting Jamar Criswells, which I know they got more than that, but that's about the only player that I really know from Morrilton this year. They're going to have a chance to make a run in the 5A playoffs. They play Jacksonville at home on Friday night. The Lamar Warriors fell 26-14 to Paris on Friday night. They get to host Hoxie this Friday night coming up in the first round of the 3A playoffs. Atkins fell 30-13 to Danville, falling on some hard times since the injury to Ty Enos, their quarterback. But they get to travel to Camden Harmony Grove, and they get to play a playoff game. So regardless of all the trouble that they've been through, they get to play a playoff game.
They get a playoff game, Mark, and it's going to be tough. I mean, Camden Harmony Grove, they're solid. I'm looking at their numbers right now. You know, we've got wins over teams like Bearden, which I know Bearden's small, but still good football down at Bearden, Star City, Smackover. They actually got beat by Smackover and wins over Fordyce. So it won't be easy for Atkins, and you touched on it. It's tough knowing that they had an injury at quarterback, and who knows what they could have done in the 3A playoffs had they been healthy, because they got to win over Charleston. Charleston's a team that's got a playoff bye, and Charleston's always going to be good anyway. So it's just tough for Atkins. They're going to compete, but you just want to see what they would look like full strength.
Definitely. Later, also in the 4A, Lamar is hosting Hoxie. Actually, I've already mentioned that. Yeah, Lamar's playing Hoxie on Friday night. Atkins at Harmony Grove. Glen Rose beat Two Rivers 42-12 on Friday night. And also Hector, who made the playoffs, won 28-22 over Johnson County Westside. They'll host Dirks. Don't know anything about Dirks either.
I mean, I know.
I know. All I know about Dirks is that my in-laws down in Nashville, they call them Derricks.
Yeah. They've had some good years at Dirks, and I mean, not a powerhouse program, but yeah, they've had some good years.
So if Hector is able to get that win in the second round, they'll get Junction City. Yeah, that one's going to be tough. They're always pretty good. So, and then finally, Arkansas Tech lost 33-30, heartbreaking fashion to East Central. You never want to lose on Senior Day, but you definitely don't want to lose in that style on Senior Day. They've had some close finishes when they've come from behind. Then last week they held off goal line stand to win the game. This week it just didn't bounce their way for Tech.
Yeah, it's been an up and down year for Tech. I mean, Tech, we talked about their struggles early. They got hot, won a few comeback games, and then as it winds down, you lose a tough one on senior night. I'm looking at Arkansas Tech this year, and while the record may not say it's been an outstanding success, I think it shows you that things are moving in the right direction. Now, the quarterback situation, talking about next year, we'll see how it goes at quarterback, but I like what Arkansas Tech's done this year, big picture in terms of talking about building and constructing towards the future. We know this program has been questioned and criticized in recent years. I think this is a step in the right direction.
Finally, with Arkansas Tech, I say finally, we've got a couple other things we need to mention. The volleyball team, third loss of the season, only the second team they've lost to in the whole volleyball season and ever, really, in Great American Conference action. They fell to Southwestern Oklahoma 3-2. And also tonight is Monday Madness. They're not doing it at midnight, but the Arkansas Tech men's basketball team, you get out to Tucker Coliseum this evening and meet the new basketball team. You've got a lot of new faces, a couple faces you'll recognize, but it's going to be a good night. Coach Doug Carlskent has tweeted out the information about Monday Madness. I'm ready for some basketball. Well, now I really love watching the Arkansas Tech men's and women's basketball teams take the floor tonight. It begins at 6 o'clock. Admission's free. If you are an Arkansas Tech student, you could win $10,000. I don't know how that's going to be done, but there's a chance for a poor college student to win $10,000 tonight. So you got to get out there at Monday Madness and check out the Arkansas Tech basketball team.
Oh, certainly. And we know Coach K, the style of play that they have at Arkansas Tech, it's worth admission. It's worth going to watch, even if you have to pay a few bucks. Certainly if you're a student, you don't have to pay at all. You need to go watch this team play. Mark, we mentioned volleyball. Didn't something happen high school volleyball this weekend? I
was about to forget about that.
I didn't want to brag.
What a bad person I am. What a bad sports guy.
Give you a chance. Go ahead.
Hey, we need to offer I'm going to standing ovation right here. You see this? I'm out of my seat. Russellville High School girls volleyball, 6A state champions, beat I guess it was Greenwood. Yeah. It was in Jonesboro. I almost said Jonesboro. Beat Greenwood in the 6A state. There are a lot of sophomores on that team, so they're going to be good for a long time. We were talking about this on Friday about how Russellville, you might as well just rename it Russellville Titletown, because you won, track 2 years in a row. You've won both soccer championships. The girls played in the state championship game in basketball. The boys got to the state semifinals. The baseball team had a nice run as the 1 seed in the 6A. And now the Russellville High School 6A state champions in volleyball. Huge congratulations to them. You can go to facebook.com/sportsblitz or facebook.com/River Valley Leader, RVL News, and find our pictures that were sent to us from the state championship game as the girls won it all.
They did. I mean, they won it. I told you on Friday, they won it my senior year back in 2005, and then they get another title. And Russellville's always been consistent ever since. I mean, they've got a top-flight program, but I'm just glad we beat Greenwood at something. We owed them. What they did to us Friday night, 35-0 at the half, was just really an embarrassment. But then we come back in volleyball with something on the line. That's what thing with this Russellville Greenwood battle is. We got to have something on the line for us to really want to beat Greenwood, and we did for a state title. So I'm proud of those young ladies. Congratulations.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. They beat Greenwood 25-22, 25-23, and 25-17. Straight sets.
Straight sets, yes, sir.
The cool thing is those first two sets, 25-22, 25-23, huge that they were able to win those very close sets. And then the third set, they just asserted their dominance. They smelled the state championship. They went out and got it. Huge congratulations to the Russellville Lady Cyclones on winning the state championship. That just made my morning right there, just remembering that. That's pretty awesome. All right, we're going to hit up a break real quick. When we come back, we've got plenty left to talk about. We've got to talk about this LSU Alabama game, Arkansas football, Arkansas basketball. Plenty left on the Sports Blitz. Don't leave us.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval with Arkansas's first Rack Furniture Warehouse, where we have the largest selection of recliners and mattresses in the state of Arkansas. Come visit us at 2609 East Parkway, the Rack Furniture Warehouse.
Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs. All with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval again at Arkansas's first Rack Furniture Warehouse, where Leon and I are back in business. We have gallery selection at quality warehouse prices here at the Rack Furniture Warehouse, 2609 East Parkway, Russellville.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Live from the River Valley Leaders Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz. We want you to get in touch with us. Stay connected with us throughout the show. If you're watching right now, you can go to facebook.com/RVL News, facebook.com/SportsBlitz, and get in on the action. We've asked a Honda of Russellville poll question as we talk about Arkansas Razorback sports. We've got the Honda of Russellville sponsorship here helping us be able to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks. So go let us know what you think about the Hogs, what you think about the LSU-Alabama game we're going to get to here in just a minute. But, Weldon, we're not here on a Monday for the first time in, well, I guess it's been 2 weeks because won the game before Ole Miss.
Yeah, we've been hot
talking about a loss.
We've been hot, a little hot.
I was very, very worried for a little bit that Arkansas was going to embarrass the fan base again for I guess it'd be the third or fourth time this season at least.
Yeah.
And lose on homecoming to Tulsa, but they were able to pull it out. Got some good performances from guys like Kobe Hamilton and Dennis Johnson to make it happen.
You knew this Arkansas-Tulsa game would be a dogfight, first of all, because I had it a little bit lower scoring game. I think a lot of people were surprised by how low the score was, but you knew it was going to be close. And one thing I said on Friday was the difference in this game will be the Arkansas defensive line, because in spite of everything else, this offensive line, the receivers, the secondary, every other poor type of play we've had, this defensive line has been solid. Not elite, but solid. And their ability to control the line of scrimmage I thought would be huge against a Tulsa team, and it did. Tulsa, we know they're a run-first team. They like to be balanced. Arkansas made some plays. Now, it was not a pretty game whatsoever. I mean, you had Tulsa, they couldn't make a kick to save their lives. Them and Pitt, I don't know what's wrong with them, but neither one of them could make a kick. Arkansas, I touched on this when we first came on, Tyler Wilson hasn't looked sensational. A lot of that has to do with him just not playing as well, but it also has to do with who is he trusting. I mean, Chris Gregg, your security blanket's not there. You do have Dennis Johnson in the running game, he was great once again. But the young guys, I think Cowan and then Wilson, the JUCO guy, even McKay, the young freshman, you just have guys around Tyler that he doesn't quite have a rapport with, and I think that's reflective in the passing game in terms of consistency. But I got to credit this Arkansas defensive line. I think them neutralizing Tulsa was really huge against a Tulsa team that they had won games. They hadn't beaten anybody of significance, but they knew how to win games, and you beat a team like that. Sure, it's not pretty, but we're not going to the national championship anyway, so you better just take whatever win you can get and not complain about it.
That's true. That's true. I definitely need to give some credit where it is due. Tyler Wilson, 21 of 31 for 272 yards, but the big bell cows of this win, the ones who were able to carry Arkansas to the win. You mentioned the defensive line and how well they played throughout the day. That was a big key to the Arkansas win, but you've got Kobe Hamilton and Dennis Johnson, the two guys who stick out to me. 11 receptions for 177 yards for Kobe Hamilton. He's the definition, the very epitome of a security blanket for Tyler Wilson. He is the guy. He is the one guy who Tyler Wilson looks for every single play, it seems like. He was targeted Lord knows how many times. He had 11 catches for 177 yards. Dennis Johnson, 22 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns himself, with another 3 catches for 43 yards. So Dennis Johnson has put himself in position, and I know this is off the topic a little bit. He's put himself in position to make some money. He's getting comparisons, and I know I may be the only one who's saying this, but I actually saw a couple people who retweeted this on Twitter and liked the comparison. Maurice Jones-Drew. Oh, yeah. Little bit of Ray Rice in him, not quite as athletic, it seems, as Ray Rice. And there was one more that it slipped my mind. Darren Sproles, who Dennis Johnson's getting some favorable comparisons to.
I mean, I've been making the MJD comparison for a while just because how he's built. And the thing with Dennis, it's always been about consistency. It's been about, can Dennis Johnson stay healthy? Can he stay out of trouble with the coaches? You know, he seems like under Bobby Petrino, every time Dennis was about to break out and be the guy, he would do something. He would get hurt, which obviously is beyond his control, but he would get criticized for pass protection, or he would get criticized for not, finding his track in the running game. He's done all of these different things. I'm just happy in his final season that he has found consistency because we know the kind of talent he can be. I watched this kid in high school, and I said he can be a player because he's got great feet, he's got great quickness, and of course as he's matured in college, he's gotten bigger and more physical. I like Dennis Johnson as a player, and you mentioned Kobe Hamilton. Kobe Hamilton's role has changed. It used to be Kobe was – obviously he was going to change because he was the guy, the primary target, but just his functionality in this offense has changed because he used to be, the vertical guy, typical number one receiver downfield. Now Arkansas is having to use him in ways to where he's almost like a tight end. He's almost like a safety valve option out of the backfield. Get the ball in his hands. Forget about downfield receiver. We need it in his hands as much as possible, and you're seeing Arkansas do that.
So I'm excited about that win. It may be the last one Arkansas can get this season. They do take on South Carolina on Saturday in Columbia. What time's the kickoff? Is it another 11?
CBS has.
It's an evening kickoff. Is it?
Isn't it? Well, I can look that
I'll
up.
have to look for
CBS
sure. I think it is the evening. It's not the 2:30 game, is it? I
can't see it being the 2:30.
I think they've picked up the option to play it as an evening game, as a part of a doubleheader. But Arkansas is going to play Mississippi State at 11 a.m., which will be I think the 6th time in 7 weeks or something like that. Is what I read.
Early.
Yeah, well, hey, I've always heard, and guys like Rick Schaefer, who are Arkansas experts, they say that 11 o'clock kickoffs always benefit the road team. Yeah. I don't know why, but I guess they're out of their comfort zone anyway. They're not having to worry about anything. They're already there. They're not having to peel themselves out of their own bed, and they're all comfortable and ready to sleep in. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that the fans won't be as fired up.
Yeah. By the way, it is 11 o'clock. You're right about that, against South Carolina, but it is on CBS, so at least we got some major networks. Somebody might accidentally watch us so we can get some exposure. But
some recruit's gonna be like, "Hey, this is Arkansas. I like their uniforms."
Yeah, you never know. You never know what we're going to wear. But the Arkansas is a 14-point underdog. We were talking earlier, Mark. What do we think about that line? Is that too high? Would you take Arkansas with the points? Do you think South Carolina is going to win by more than 14? 14 is an interesting number. Of course, that's why they said it, to get people to kind of bet on each side of it. But 14 points is interesting considering no Marcus Lattimore. And at times the South Carolina offense, even with Lattimore, has looked anemic because they're not very proficient in the passing game. But, they're facing Arkansas, so they might get proficient real quick.
Yeah.
We don't know.
They might have a Heisman Trophy candidate by the end of the week.
They might. I do have to say that about Arkansas. I'm glad we've quit making people look like Heisman candidates. Even Bo Wallace, they beat us, but we didn't make him look like a Heisman candidate. We've really cleaned that up now. Now they just look like regular All-Americans when they face Arkansas. So I'm proud about that.
Yeah, I think 14 points is too many as far as the line goes. I would take Arkansas with those points. I do think South Carolina is going to win the game, but there's too many wild cards with no Marcus Lattimore. Yeah. The offense hadn't been great. I'm not sure how many touchdowns Jadeveon Clowney's going to score himself. There's a chance he probably would. That dude is a freak. He is a freak. But I would, at this point, take Arkansas with those points. We'll have to see. As the week goes, I'll get a little better feel. Hey, I will say for myself, Arkansas did win 19-15. First time in Arkansas history they've won by that score, so that's neat. I did have Arkansas winning by 4 points, although it was 38-34.
Hey, congratulations.
At Arkansas, 38-34. They did win by the margin I predicted, so it's a little different than what I saw coming, but we did have the Hogs winning the game. Everybody did pick a Arkansas win, so we have that going for us. All right, let's look at the big game. We don't have much time left in this segment. The big game of the weekend, obviously, there was two marquee games, Oregon USC, which turned into a terrible basketball game, 62-51 final score. Alabama-LSU, one of the games of the year, just like it was last year. 21-17 win by Alabama, coming from behind. LSU threw everything and the kitchen sink on the floor at home. Crazy crowd, but Alabama was able to withstand it and win the game just like the number one team in the country should.
I really have to say I'm impressed. Let me start with LSU because I'm going to give credit both sides. I didn't see what LSU put out there. I didn't see that coming, particularly from that offensive line. I got to start with this LSU offensive line. LSU's O-line has been maligned all year. They've been injured. They lost their left tackle. You would think there was no way they could hold up in the running game or in the passing game against Alabama. And they did that. This offensive line came off the ball, and they were running downhill right at Alabama. Did not think that was possible. They even held up in pass protection for Zach Mettenberger, who finally decided he knew how to play a little bit. But when you look at Alabama, Mark, and I know I sound like a broken record because you've heard me make this case and make this point over and over and over. This Alabama football program went from one of the best programs in the country to being the best when they decided that the quarterback position has to be a position that they can lean on. You go back to John Parker Wilson, Greg McElroy, and even early in the A.J. McCarron era. They hid their quarterback, and it bit them in that first game against LSU last year. Ever since then, Nick Saban has let his quarterback play. Still not taking risks in high and low percentage throws, but he's trusting his quarterback to make plays. And it's paid off to an undefeated start this year, but it's really paid off when you're down and you have to come back with not a lot of time left. A.J. McCarron early last year doesn't make that drive because the coaches don't have the confidence in him. By having that confidence in him, you're able to have a comeback drive and win that game. I give A.J. McCarron credit, but I give Nick Saban credit for making that program-changing decision last year in the national title game.
Zach Mettenberger was 24 of 35, 298 yards and a touchdown. A.J. McCarron, 14 of 27 for 165 yards and a touchdown. He was efficient down the stretch. Alabama did have two big rushing gains from Eddie Lacy and T.J. Yeldon, 11 carries apiece, 83 yards for Lacy, 76 yards for Yeldon. But to me, the biggest play of the game, LSU, they threw everything they had. A fake field goal, going for it on fourth down a couple different times, even when they should have kicked. I don't understand. Kicking a super long field goal that they probably didn't have a chance of making. They just did a lot of stuff that was, it was riverboat gambler-ish, and that's what Les Miles is known for, so why go away from what you do if you're that dang hat. But at the end of the game, the one thing that showed me a lot more confidence in my Alabama pick to win the national championship was the fact that they marched it down the field, and with a blitz coming in his face, perfect play call at the perfect time to win the game, the screen pass to T.J. Yeldon, who took it to the house. I was very excited to see that because I didn't want LSU with the fact that they've already lost a couple games there. They had a game there, and they probably weren't going to get to be back in the national championship picture with the teams that were ahead of them. I wanted to see Alabama. Well, that, and I'm kind of wanting my prediction to work out the way I expected it to. I was excited to see Alabama win that game, and it brought a question up to me, Weldon, because Oregon won 62-51 against USC. They're now, number 3 in the poll behind Kansas State. They jumped Notre Dame, who struggled to a triple overtime win over Pitt and just looked awful. But it's a clash of styles. I'm assuming that Kansas State – I'm talking about Oregon. Okay. I'm assuming that Oregon beating USC probably will have to beat them again in the conference championship game. With the computers, they'll get the numbers that they need to jump Kansas State because Lord knows I don't want to see Kansas State in the championship game. That'll be just a travesty because Arkansas beat Kansas State last year with that, and they're just
and
Klein, they're not
as good as I think. Got to see how healthy he is.
That's true. If he's hurt, they're done anyway because he's their entire offense. But it brought up a question to me: if Oregon does make the national championship game, I've still got Alabama beating them. Yeah. You weren't so confident in that.
Well, I have Alabama winning. First of all, the question was really out of Kansas State, Notre Dame, and Oregon. Who would I most give a chance to? And there's no question it's Oregon. Now, that doesn't mean I would pick Oregon to beat Alabama. But the issue is, and what's interesting is Oregon, can their speed match up with Alabama's physicality. That's really what it comes down to. Now look at Kansas State. In Kansas State, they don't have enough dimensions to their offense. I don't think they could physically hold up or throw anything speed-wise at Alabama. And we had Brad on last week, and he hit the nail right on the head with talking about Notre Dame. Is they try to play a lot like Alabama. Physical defense, try to be physical up front of the offensive line. Alabama's just better than them. The difference with Oregon, and the only reason Oregon would have a better shot is because of their different dimensions. Oregon, it's a simplified offense, but the way they attack you is inside zone and then outside jet sweep type outside threats as well. When you're playing Alabama, you cannot be one-dimensional. You can't just say, oh, well, we're going to attack you inside only or we're going to attack you outside only. LSU last year had success against Alabama with the option, attacking the edge, trying to get out in a little bit of space. The problem was that's all they could do, and you could scheme for that in the national championship game, and LSU wasn't smart enough to think ahead. I look at this game if they were to match up, and I think Chip Kelly, first of all, if Nick Saban's won, Chip Kelly's right beneath him in terms of preparation and being exactly on point with details. And I think he knows what happened against Auburn. I think he would try to scheme in a different way to figure out how to attack this Alabama team on the edge, but as well as keep them honest inside. And again, I told you this about Alabama. I didn't love some things I saw from them at safety in that number 13 at corner. Nobody could take advantage of it since Michigan did until the other night. We saw him pick on that number 13. I'm not sure if Oregon would take advantage of it, but Chip Kelly, if there's a weakness there, he would see it.
Man, I was going to give you a little bit of what I thought, but we'll just see how it turns out because we may just be talking about something that doesn't come to
No, you're not going to go?
Come to fruition. No, I was going to go off on Oregon and how I don't think they're that good, but I'll save it. Oh. I'll save it in case they actually do play in the national championship game. I don't want to shoot all my bullets right now and not have anything left for time when it comes. So we're going to go to break. When we come back, we got a little NFL to hit, and we've got a little bit about Arkansas basketball. Yeah. I know a lot of us are excited about basketball season coming up. Clarksville Panthers red-white game on Saturday. I'm excited, so we got plenty left. Stay with us.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville. Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
So happy about all the good stuff that's happened in sports this weekend. We've got the Hogs winning, but then we got to flip it over to the other side. We talk about the NFL for just a minute. Well, I'm not happy about my Cowboys last night on Sunday Night Football. Had a chance to win against the undefeated Atlanta Falcons. Pay attention for our power rankings that are coming out on Wednesday. But Cowboys had a chance to win, and they just choked it away.
They did. But before I address the Dallas Cowboys, I want to address you before the Cowboys. Because what have I told you, Mark? about letting yourself get sucked in to the dangerous game that's known as the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm a fan.
But you
I'm
don't.
a Dallas Cowboys fan, been that way my whole life.
You're a loyal fan.
I can't avoid it.
Certainly you are. But you know what they do to you. They just play with
Just
your emotions.
rip our heart out.
It's like some of these women out here. They just play with your emotions. You just can't let them. Because I look at the Dallas Cowboys, Mark, and, I said it. I gave Dallas a good chance to win. I had a feeling they would go in and win. And they had every opportunity to do so. But once again, situational football, sloppiness, poor execution, all led to Dallas not being able to pull it off down the stretch. The defense had a chance to get off the field on third down. They couldn't, although they played great. And you could even make a case that they were on the field so much they wore it down. That's another discussion. But the bottom line is, Mark, this Dallas team doesn't execute. And while we're talking about this game, I have to give credit to the Atlanta Falcons. I don't trust their playoff intangibles yet, even though I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl because I figured Matt Ryan, after so many failed attempts, has to push through. But in terms of being prepared, 2-minute situations, having one timeout, no timeouts, perfect how to get the ball in field goal position right before the half, all the little things Mike Smith's Atlanta Falcons teams have always done, and that wins you 2-3 ball games a year, that alone in the NFL, where it's tough to win anyway. When we do our power rankings, I'm going to remember that about the Atlanta Falcons. But, Mark, I know we're talking about the Cowboys here, and it's funny because Jason Garrett's on the hot seat. I know you want him gone, and then there's somebody out there that's now available. Let the rumor mill begin.
And it's going to go crazy. Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints embattled coach. His contract extension with the Saints was voided by the NFL. Never even heard of that happening.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Of course, there's some extenuating circumstances there with the Saints, but his contract was voided. Now he's a free agent, a coaching free agent following this season, and it'll be, will he go back to the Saints for whatever deal they'll offer? Will he go to the highest bidder, which I would very much assume would be Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Got my fingers crossed because I can't wait to have a real head coach, and I would really like to see him end up in Dallas because I think Tony Romo gets a raw deal. I saw all these tweets yesterday from Tony Romo on a night where he threw for 320 yards, no turnovers whatsoever, and it's still Tony Romo's fault. Of course it is. Of course it is. You can't run the ball at all, and you can't stop them when you need a big stop, but it's Tony Romo's fault, of course.
Yeah.
He screwed up the economy and raised gas prices too. So
pretty much.
Basically anything you want to gripe about Tony Romo is your good scapegoat there. But Dallas did lose 19-13. My fantasy football teams don't appreciate it either. I needed Tony Romo to have a good game, so I think I am going to win, though.
Yeah, don't talk to me about fantasy. Eli Manning, the last 2 weeks in the league I have him in, has scored 13 combined points in the last 2 weeks, and somehow it looks like I'm going to figure out a way to win in the league this week.
That's what winners do.
That's what winners do.
Just figure it out.
That's what Mikael LaShore 3 touchdowns
in
also
the first
does
quarter.
For you.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Congratulations with that. And the guy that had Doug Martin's happy, he had 90 points in my league.
Oh, yeah.
It was Matt Baxley.
Yeah, I got him in one league. He had 51 points. He's been sensational, Mark, which gets you to thinking about the Rookie of the Year conversation because it was all RG3. And I think RG3 is big time. He's sensational. He's going to be good.
But preseason we did have Andrew Luck, didn't you? Didn't you also have him? I know I did.
I don't remember
to
who
begin
I
the
picked.
season.
I may have. But you look, Andrew Luck has been slowly but surely coming. And I know you tweeted about this too. That Indianapolis Colts team, they are playing with extra motivation. Chuck Pagano gave a sensational, inspiring speech. But emotions aside, because emotions can only take you so far, the Indianapolis Colts are executing. Bruce Arians has been in this league for 30 years, something like that. He knows how to coach. He knows how to coach young quarterbacks. Had Peyton Manning his rookie year. This Colts team, they're simple, they're physical, they're young, they're 5-3. Not sure how long that's going to last, but I got to give Andrew Luck some love for Rookie of the Year. But then a guy I've been on ever since he was in college, a guy who I've been a huge fan of, Trent Richardson, #1 running back in the draft, no debate about it. But I said, that gap between Richardson and the next back, it's not all that huge, and that's Doug Martin. Doug Martin is big time. He's an all-around back. He's one of the few rookies who's come in right away, and he's adjusted in pass protection. Usually with young running backs, that's what holds them back. Doug Martin, 251 yards rushing yesterday.
Crazy.
I love his feet. I love his balance. Wilson, the next running back, went to the Giants. I think he'll be a good player, but I said I'll take Doug Martin all day, and I would still take Trent Richardson, but man, Doug Martin is the complete package. Rookie of the Year, Mark. I mean, it's going to be tight.
To me, that's been a fun little back and forth. Yesterday, Andrew Luck, 433 yards passing, a rookie record, most ever by a rookie. And, Cam Newton had number 1 and 3, and now he's 2 and 4 as far as the record passing yardage in a rookie season in a single game. But looking at, I still have Andrew Luck because the team went 2 and 14 last year. They're 5 and 3 right now. That's incredible. Andrew Luck has got exactly as many passing yards as Peyton Manning this year.
He does, yeah.
It's incredible what he's doing. RG3, we understood he was going to come back down to earth a little bit, but he's got the character. He'll come back. I really like what he's done, but man, Doug Martin yesterday was just a handful. 4 touchdowns. How many yards was it? 265?
251 rushing. I don't know, all purpose. I'm sure more than that. But
it was a crazy day in the NFL, though. Look at some scores real quickly. Couple weeks ago, we had Eli Manning as an MVP candidate, and they fell 24-20 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Seattle beat Minnesota 30-20. Minnesota had been hot until the last couple weeks. Denver and Peyton Manning won 31-23. Green Bay 31-17 over Arizona. Chicago put a beat down 51-20 on Tennessee.
Still forcing turnovers too
and scoring.
Yeah,
their defense scores more points than Tennessee's offense does. A lot of times, that was just, and I have them on one of my fantasy teams, so I'm very excited about that. The Indianapolis Colts, telling you, I would run through a wall for Chuck Pagano after what I heard yesterday. That dude, man, that was impressive. 23-20 winners over Miami. Carolina won 21-13 over RG3 in Washington. A couple other games of note. Houston won 21-9 over Buffalo, and then obviously the Cowboys lost. So, anything else stick out to you over the weekend in football?
Well, really, Mark, this is the time of year where we're about to find out who's for real and who's not. A lot of teams can get off to good starts, but as we get to the midpoint and into the third quarter of the season, it's time to see if some teams are for real. I'm thinking about a team like the Minnesota Vikings. You touched on it. Remember how hot they were, but we questioned them. Can they sustain it? Maybe they're fading a little bit. Washington Redskins, kind of an up and down start. We thought they might hang. They're fading a little bit as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, same thing. Are they for real or are they not? So it's really put up or shut up time. Are you going to compete for a playoff spot, or are you going to fall off the wagon? And you touched on Eli Manning, and I got on him for ruining my fantasy team, but I got to give the Pittsburgh Steelers some credit.
Yeah.
They looked old. They looked like they couldn't play. They looked like they needed to hang it up a few weeks ago. Now they've started to win games. They're getting healthier now at wide receiver. Isaac Redman, sensational. If Dwyer and Mendenhall comes back, you've got a nice trio. That defense has looked solid even without Troy Polamalu. They play the Baltimore Ravens, I know, 2 times within the next month or so. So that's really going to tell a lot in that AFC North. It's just really a lot going on, Mark, a lot.
Definitely. We'll continue to update you with all the things in the NFL, college football, all that stuff. We've got more to come on the show. We've still got a little bit about the Arkansas Razorback basketball team. We look forward to they're playing tonight against Lemoyne Owen, 7 o'clock. So we've got to look over the results from Friday night in the first exhibition game, a 106-78 win over Southwest Baptist. We'll do that right after the break.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
It doesn't matter what you're looking for, chances are Good Deal Charlie Discount Furniture has it. From living room, bedroom, and dining furniture to one-of-a-kind pieces, Good Deal Charlie has everything. The staff is pleasant and always friendly, so you'll feel no pressure to buy. With new and used furniture for your home or office, you can find everything you need at the best possible prices at 2209 East Main Street in Russellville. Good Deal Charlie.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
AR Sports present the 2012 River Valley Football Magazine, featuring profiles of local high school football teams, as well as college football previews and player spotlights. Professional photography accompanies top-notch writing throughout to bring you the best locally focused publication in Arkansas. You'll enjoy special tributes to local legends Jerry Aiken and Don Sevier, as well as an exclusive interview with Razorback all-time great Clint Sterner in this year's magazine. Available at fine establishments throughout the River Valley. Pick up your copy of River Valley Football Magazine today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Final segment of the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton here in the River Valley Leader Studios. Glad to be joining you today. Hope you've enjoyed the show thus far. Make sure you get into contact with us. We've got a bunch of different ways Maddie put up on the screen here that you can get a hold of us. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook. You can look at our, what was I going to say? Not our poll question. We've got that every week, but we've also got a text line that you can get a hold of us at 479-310-5620. Love to hear from you and what you've got to say about sports. Right now we're looking at the Arkansas basketball season. Weldon's got the preseason and non-conference schedule going. But the Hogs opened their exhibition schedule with the 106-78 win over Southwest Baptist Friday night. They've got Lemoyne Owen at 7 p.m. tonight in the final exhibition. We'll also look at a season preview coming up throughout this week, give you how many wins we expect. Obviously, I think it's going to be a better season than last year as far as wins, and that was 18 wins. With,
solid first year.
With no Marshawn Powell. So looking at the stats from this win on Friday night, I was impressed by a couple things. Anthlon Bell, 3 threes, had 17 points. Marshawn Powell, 16 points. Hunter Mickelson, 11. Ricky Scott, 11. Kai Madden, 8. Mardrakus Wade, 4. Cody Clark, 4. And then Michael Qualls had 10. B.J. Young had 9 points. When you've got a guy like B.J. Young on your squad who's an NBA lottery-type pick, and he comes off the bench and he plays as well as he did, and you've got all these other guys you can count on, you've got a pretty decent little squad.
You do. And I don't know, what the deal was with B.J. off the bench. I would imagine he would start during the year, but looking at numbers, it's hard to tell. I'm not a big numbers guy, but there is something I look at with a Mike Anderson team, and of course that's turnovers. and Arkansas forced 26 turnovers. That's rock solid. They had a +9 turnover margin. They had 17 on their own account. Don't like that. I know Mike's going to want to make that margin even bigger, which of course means cutting down our turnover 17. I mean, we have to talk about this style of play because statistics can be really skewed with this system, particularly points allowed. You just throw that out the window, points allowed, because there's so many possessions. It's going up and down the court. I mean, other teams going to score some points, especially when you're pressing. I mean, one of the things you risk is giving up some easy baskets when they beat your press. I mean, teams are going to beat your full court pressure sometimes. It's just going to happen. So I don't want to get too alarmed and people get upset about Arkansas giving up 78 points to a team that's not all that good. But I do want to see the Hogs cut down on turnovers a little bit, because that's something that it'll be a little bit inflated because of our style of play. We'll turn it over a little more, but 17 still, I'd like for us to cut that number down.
Yeah, there are some numbers that you can pick apart, but some numbers that I saw that I really liked, and they won't obviously stay this way when you get into a schedule where you play teams that are as athletic and good as some of the teams that Arkansas will play are, but I was very encouraged with the fact that they shot 53% from the field.
Yeah.
They shot 43% from the three-point line, and they shot 92% from the free throw line. That always a good sign when you can shoot, 24 of 26. So missed 2 free throws in the whole game. That's always a good thing when you're able to shoot that well. And like you said, +9 in the turnover margin. If they're able to turn teams over and shoot at a high percentage, they're going to be able to play with anybody.
Yeah, Mark. And, one thing I always say when it comes to basketball, there are some things you can control and some things you can't. Shooting is that variable. Outside shooting is something you just don't know how it's going to be. And you can't let how your outside shooting goes dictate whether or not you can win a game. And that was sort of the case last year. When we were hot, we could shoot and stay with anybody. When we were cold, we might as well put it away. Arkansas Tech was going to beat the Razorbacks. But this year, I'm looking for Arkansas to hang their hat on things they can control. Defense, rebounding. I think we out-rebounded them by 9 in this game. Now, certainly you don't know. I'm not sure what their size was. Not sure if this other team, Southwest Baptist, was a good rebounding team or not. But that's always a question with this Hog team. Can we hang on the backboards with teams with size? It's encouraging to me that so far we have a +9 rebound margin.
And looking ahead at the non-conference schedule, obviously they'll play Lemoyne-Owen and then Sam Houston State on Friday. And then they take a 9-day break there, and then they go to the Las Vegas Invitational. They're going to take on Longwood, Florida A&M, Arizona State, and then the winner of Wisconsin and Creighton. Or I say the winner, it will be either Wisconsin or Creighton, before getting into the Syracuse, Oklahoma, Michigan, tough part of the meat of the schedule.
Yeah, it's tough. And when you see these big BCS conference opponents, the first thing you think of is resume. Okay, you've got Arizona State and Las Vegas. Obviously, proximity-wise, Arizona State will have an advantage there. And then you get the Wisconsin-Creighton winner. I'd imagine, loser plays loser, winner plays winner.
Yeah.
That's probably how it is. Syracuse coming to Bud Walton, though.
That's huge.
It is. I know I sound like John L. Rutgers coming to town. Syracuse coming to town. Arkansas and Bud Walton, with the way they play, I give them a chance against anybody. You put any team in the country against a decent Arkansas team in Bud Walton when it's full and when it's loud, I'm not going to sneeze if you pick Arkansas. Kentucky's coming to town. I don't care. Syracuse, they were deep and loaded last year. They're going to be talented this year, but they lost some guys. I mean, Dion Waiters, among a few others, gone. Fab Melo. And then Oklahoma. You need to beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they're not that great. They got Lon Kruger in now. He'll do a good job, but I think Arkansas needs to take care of business. It's all about resume wins in these non-conference games. Arkansas needs to get at least a couple of these.
Starting from November the 30th, and I just want to look real quickly as an overview. We'll talk more about individual games and what we expect as far as record coming down the line. But it looks like Arkansas' schedule starting at November 30th till about December the 8th is going to be very tough. You've got Syracuse, Oklahoma, Michigan. I was at the Arkansas-Michigan game last year at Bud Walton, and like you said, you can bring anybody into Bud Walton, and if it's rocking, it's going to be tough for them to win. And Arkansas, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So they're going to have a tough beginning portion, and then I look to the end of the schedule. They play Kentucky, Missouri, Texas A&M right there in a row at the end of the conference slate there. So they've got tough at the beginning, tough at the end. The middle, they've got to, in the meat of that schedule, they've got to pick up some wins. They take on Florida, Tennessee, and some of those teams. But then you've got, Alcorn State, Robert Morris, Alabama A&M, Northwestern State, Delaware State, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Ole Miss. You've got some teams that you can and should beat there. And if you get this type of team rolling,
oh yeah,
and that was just it's way it's always been with this type of team. If you get them rolling downhill, they snowball on you, and it's tough to play a team like Arkansas, especially when Mike Anderson gets things going. I know right now he's looking for the fastest 40 minutes in basketball, and he said many times, sometimes it's 25 minutes of hell and 15 minutes of what the. So then on the other side, he wants to get to 40 minutes to where they can run like that. Maybe they're there right now with the fact that they can play 8 to 10 guys at least, but maybe it's going to take a little bit of time. You've got to make hay in the middle of your schedule.
You've got to. And, the SEC, of course, we know, and from football, A&M and Missouri's in the league. You've got an unbalanced schedule of basketball and gone to an 8-team game schedule. And I'm looking at some of the teams Arkansas is playing twice. They do have Missouri. Mike Anderson will be going back to his old stomping ground in Columbia on March the 5th. We've got 2 games against Florida, only have Kentucky once. So, the SEC, it's been maligned over the years as far as basketball, but I'm looking at this schedule. It's solid. Frank Martin at South Carolina, they're going to be improved. Obviously, Florida's good every year. Kentucky's Kentucky. Missouri still has some of the remnants of last year's team, although as Frank Haith sticks his thumbprint on that team.
They're going to get worse.
You know where I was going with that. But, this SEC schedule, it's solid. And what's significant about that, Mark, is when it comes tournament time and resume time, usually these other conferences, Big Ten, ACC, Big East, they kind of hold that against the SEC. Oh, they didn't play. They didn't beat a lot of people. It's a solid SEC schedule, so it's really going to help your resume come March.
Man, we wish we had more time. We don't have quite enough time to get any more deep into this schedule stuff. We'll give you a season breakdown here pretty soon. We'll give you our predictions for what we expect of the team. We'll give you a little bit more on the high school football and plenty more on Wednesday. We're going to give you our power rankings, NFL power rankings. Yeah. Man, my head's just so full of stuff that I've got to talk about. Oh, yeah. We'll be back on Wednesday, though. For Weldon, I'm Mark. So long. You guys have a good day. Be back here Wednesday, 11 o'clock. Don't miss it.